for some more Model 3 updates. I got some really good information for you. The first bit of information came to me from an inside source at Tesla, and they broke some information to me very early this morning, and it has to do with what are sent out to employees in the showroom to talk about talking points about the Model 3 for customers who come in asking about the car. Some of this is actually coming from the fact that Elon mentioned at the last financial call that they were going to do something over the next few weeks to try and alleviate some of this confusion that they feel is happening. So I was sent 3 screenshots of this information, and I'll post it on the video and in the show description so that you can read it for yourself. So let's go through some of the talking points to begin with. Now, actually, before I begin, I want to make it very clear that these are talking points. They're not 100% official specifications on the car. Some of them are official, what I feel are real numbers. Other ones, especially towards the end when we get into options, are not fairly clear at this point, and I believe it's because they're really not ready to talk about all the options on the car yet. So it's just basically, kind of a grand overview. So anyways, having said that, let's dive in. So the first bit of information on the sheet has to do with the length of the Model 3, and it's pegged at 184.1 inches, which interestingly is exactly the number that Motor Trend pegged last year when they took photos of the Model 3 at the Gigafactory in combination with the Model S and the Model X. I don't know if it was a number that was officially given to them, but they pegged it as their own estimate. So kudos to Motor Trend for actually nailing that number. Now, there was nothing mentioned about the width of the car. So having said that, I took it upon myself to actually go and compare these numbers to the nearest competition, say the BMW 3 Series and the Audi A4, and this is what I came up with. So a BMW 328i is 182.8 inches long and 71.3 inches wide, and that's not including the width of the mirrors of the car. So I think we can expect the Model 3 to be about that wide, about 72 inches wide. Or the other car that we're comparing against, of course, as usual, is the Audi A4. It's 186.1 inches long and 72.5 inches wide. And I thought, you know what, let's throw another car in there, because one of the comments we get, of course, on the YouTube videos is people seem to think the Model 3 is about the same size as a Mazda 3, for example. So Mazda 3 is 180.3 inches long and 70.7 inches wide. So really the Model 3 is kind of sitting between a Mazda 3 in size and an Audi A4 or a BMW 328i. So the estimates are pretty close. Now, the other interesting bit about this information has to do with performance, and I was very excited about this because I have an upcoming video where my wife and I took a Model S for a long weekend drive, and we got a chance to really see what the performance of that car is in a base configuration. Look for that, but we'll compare it against these kind of numbers that we're getting into. It's interesting to note that since last year, Tesla has been mentioning that the Model 3 will be sub 6 second, even in the base configuration of the car. And we're talking about 0 to 60 miles per hour or 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in terms of performance. So the official number on the Model 3 in its base configuration, this is before all-wheel drive or performance variants, and again, we don't expect those until late this year or sometime next year, is coming in at 5.6 seconds, 0 to 60 performance, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Again, in the base configuration. And again, it compared very, very favorably to the base Model S 85 kilowatt hour that we drove on the weekend. And that one's rated at 5.4 seconds, 0 to 60. So I am really excited about that because the performance on that Model S was great. I mean, it gave us butterflies every time we did an acceleration on the car. So I'm very happy to hear these numbers. Again, so for comparison, what is it compared to against the nearest neighbors? Well, let's look at it. An Audi A4, I went and looked it up. It's 7.1 seconds, 0 to 60. Just for comparison, the sport variant of the Audi A4, which is the S4, is rated at 4.4 seconds. The BMW 328i, again, 7.1 seconds in base configuration. Their performance car, called the M3, is rated at 3.9 seconds. So having said that, I think sometime later this year or next year when we get the performance variant of the Model 3, I expect it will handily exceed those numbers and really trounce them. A lot of people have been asking me, what do you think the performance numbers will be on the performance version of the Model 3? And I think we're looking at low 3 seconds on that. So we're really looking forward to that. But I'm here to tell you, and you'll see my other video, that you really don't need it. 5.5, 5.6 seconds is plenty to get you in or out of trouble. The next point has to do with rated range on the car. Again, Tesla is not giving official numbers. They've still reiterated at this point in the base configuration, 215 miles plus. Again, it's not official. We expect to see official battery pack information to be released sometime in July. So just keep that in mind. Now, just to compare against the Model S right now is rated anywhere from 249 to 335 miles, depending on the size of the battery pack. The next point has to do with supercharging. Again, they've reiterated on the Model 3, it will be a pay-per-use model of the supercharger where you get 400 kilowatt hours per year annually renewed as a free credit to your account. And then anything over and above that, you'll have to pay. The recent referral program now has reinstated free unlimited supercharging for Model S and Model X owners that buy a car from now on, and they can actually refer people that use the referral codes will also get free supercharging. So I think Tesla's changing their tune a little bit as far as supercharging is concerned on the Model S. They feel that it's a real big value add to the car, so that's good. But on the Model 3, it's going to be pay-per-use. The next point has to do with seating. We know that the Model 3 is seating for 5 adults. You know, there's an option on the Model S where you can get 2 rear-facing child seats. That will not be an option on the Model 3. So for some of the people that are looking for more people-moving capacity, of course, you can get that. But if you really want all adult seating, of course, you can get up to 7 seats, again, in the Model X. So again, it's a smaller car. It's in that same size class. 5 adults might be a little bit tight, especially 3 across the back. But I think 4 adults, perfectly comfortable. The next point has to do with the interior cargo space. Now again, the Model 3 will have a manual trunk opening. It won't be a power liftgate like the Model S. And Tesla has stated it's 14 cubic feet of storage space, and that includes the combined trunk and the front trunk for the front space. Now just for comparison, a Model S is 31.6 cubic feet to be exact. It should be mentioned, however, that these numbers are stated for the back seats folded up, not in the folded down. On a Model S, for example, if you fold the back seats down, it's 58.1 cubic feet. And I think the Model 3 is going to have a lot more storage space, especially if you put the seats down. Now, just for comparison, again, another car in that size class, a Mazda 3 is 12.4 cubic feet, and it has no frunk. And an Audi A4 is 13 cubic feet, and it has no frunk either. Again, these numbers are with the seats folded up, if the car has options for the seats folded down. I believe the BMW 3 Series, you have to pay extra to get rear folding seats. So keep that in mind. I think we're still in good shape as far as cargo carrying is concerned, especially for the size of the vehicle and its competition. Talking about the screens again, you know, Tesla's reiterated for many, many times, Model 3 will have a single screen. It's not the dual screen like the binnacle and the center screen like on the Model S. And again, just to reiterate, drop the idea of a HUD. It's not happening. Get over it. Move on. On the next panel, Tesla started talking about delivery timing. Again, orders for Model 3 that are placed today are still not expected to ship until mid-2018. So the people that ordered anytime last year are probably in good shape to get cars before the middle of next year. But if you're thinking about putting a reservation now, please consider the timing. You probably won't get it until sometime mid-next year. Again, there's no word on timing for the tax credits. They do mention that if you get a Model S or order a Model S or Model X right now, you're still eligible for the $7,500 tax credit in the US. It's different for other countries, but if you're looking for that, you know, again, a lot of this is speaking because they're trying to anti-sell the Model 3 because what they have to sell right now is S and X. So I also should reiterate again that Tesla has never advertised the Model 3 as a price including tax credits. It's always been $35,000 as a base price. And I think that's because they really want people to understand that tax credits will expire eventually, and they don't want people to get a skewed vision of the price of the car being artificially depressed because of the tax credit. So try and keep that in mind when you're thinking about pricing on the car. Another little interesting tidbit at the end of the document is they mentioned something about premium features. There's 2 columns. There's one for the Model S and there's one for the Model 3. And now on the Model 3 side, they don't show any optional features. I want to reiterate here, I think they're doing this because they're not ready to talk about that. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be premium features. They're just not ready to disclose that yet. They're trying to show the advantages of the Model S. So the things that they're mentioning on the Model S side is things like the all-glass roof, an aluminum body, smart air suspension, the sunroof, auto-presenting door handles, 21-inch performance wheels, and the HEPA filter, the bioweapon defense mode thing. Now, if I was a betting man, I would say on the Model 3, we're going to get an all-glass roof as standard. There may not even be a sunroof option, at least at the beginning. Some of the options have to be kept for possible variants of the car sometime next year. Aluminum body, for example. I think the Model 3 is actually an aluminum body. Again, Tesla's keeping very tight-lipped about that. They just don't want to talk about it yet. Smart air suspension, that's up to you. I don't think it's really worth it. Auto-presenting door handles, while we know that that's not something on the Model 3. You have manual door handles, they're still flush, but we won't get the motorized variant. Talking about wheels, we know that Model 3 has been spotted with 18-inch wheels. We don't know if the 20 inches are going to be made as an option, but we'll talk about that here in a second. And of course, no HEPA filter on the car. Now, since this information came out, my good friend Caleb at the Tesla Show podcast, by the way, if you haven't listened to that podcast, it's excellent. Him and Mike really go into deep dive analysis on Model 3 and Tesla and just, cars in general. Give it a good listen, it's really good. Anyway, so Caleb's a good friend of mine, and he sent me what he thought were very good ideas about how Tesla has achieved these calculations. Now, it should be mentioned, Tesla mentions on this document that the Model S has over 1,500 combinations of options, but on the Model 3 there'll be less than 100. So this is what Caleb told me. He says, if you take into account options such as 7 paint colors, 2 wheel options, 2 battery sizes, rear wheel drive only, and 3 interior options, that gets you 84 combinations. He says if you cut 1 paint option, say drop it down to 6, that nets you 72. And things like autopilot doesn't count because it's not a physical option, because the ones that Tesla mentioned are only physical. They don't talk about autopilot. So you have to take that out of the equation. Now, just for comparison, he also did it against the Model S because, again, they're talking about 1,500 plus options. So he said, right now there are 7 colors on the Model S, 5 battery or all-wheel drive combinations, 2 roofs, 4 wheel options, 6 interior colors. He says that works out to 1,680 combinations. So again, I think it really speaks to their production ramp desires to really get the car, in volume as fast as possible. And I think Tesla seems to think that the way to achieve that is to cut down on the number of options on the car. It doesn't mean that you won't be able to customize the car. I'm sure they're going to make a combination of some inventory cars as well as some options, but I think if you keep those things in mind, you'll be in a good position to try and estimate, kind of the combinations for the car. So anyways, thanks to Caleb for sending that. All right, so that's the last of that information. However, something else broke earlier this morning. There's a user on Twitter named Jas Summers, and he was supercharging his Model S, and he happened to run across a Model 3 right next to him that was charging, and he snapped a picture of the charge port door open. Now, it's a different design on the Model 3. It doesn't open sideways like it does on the Model S or Model X. It actually flips upwards. And interestingly enough, as I had always predicted, it has a standard Tesla connector on there. There's no CCS connector. There's no CHAdeMO, just a single connector. So those of you who watched my video of the installation of the Tesla charger thinking that I was premature because you thought that there was going to be a different connector, well, you're wrong. I'm right. Anyways, that's it for today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Model 3 Owners. You can check out our forum at model3ownersclub.com. We have a Patreon page if you wish to pledge and keep the videos going. We'd really appreciate it if you take a look at that, and that can be found at patreon.com/Model3Owners. And don't forget, we got some really cool t-shirts if you want to show off your Model 3 cred, so we really appreciate all the support there. Anyways, that's it for today's segment, and stay tuned for the next one on our extended Model 3 loaner test program with my wife and I, and give you a really good impression of what we think about the Model S and how it will pertain to Model 3. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next segment.